So, interested in giving back to Drupal.org, then you're in the right place. So, this is Daniel. He's not on the slide, but he works with me at Hook 42, and he has a role to play in this presentation. Who am I? My name is AmyJune, and I work with Hook 42, and we are a boutique Drupal shop in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am their community lead, which means I basically just work on giving back to Drupal.org most of my day. I do some site building on some Drupal 8 stuff to be aware and keep up and know that I know how to do the things. In the wild, I am a mom, and I used to be a hospice nurse, but I've changed professions in the last couple of years, and I like to geocache, and that's pretty fun. I don't know if any of you know what that is, but it's finding small things in small places and signing a log, and it's a real fun game. And my name is AmyJune, and it is camel case, and it's one word. And this is Daniel Rose. He's the community developer over at Hook 42. And who are you? You are newbies, you're project managers, you're customer success engineers, but you're people who work in Drupal and you want to give back. That's the most important thing. You're a community member. You want to be involved. So this is a good place to start. And this session is geared towards people who aren't coders. It's for anyone. You know, this is genuinely a way to get started, and so I have some tools that are real easy for everyone to use. There's different ways you can do contributions, but I kind of picked like the more simple route so everyone could be involved. So why contribute? Well, we want to keep our jobs. You know, you work in Drupal and it's open source, so giving back to the project is a good way to ensure its success. The Drupal project has a mantra that collaboration is better than competition, so let's all work together to make it a better thing. When you help with Drupal open source community, you can improve the Drupal source community by giving back with documentation. You build your reputation every time you give back to Drupal.org. It shows up on your profile. It shows up on your company's profile, so it's good for business. And there's many ways to contribute. You can test and break code. You can run accessibility audits, because accessibility means diversity and inclusion, and that's really important, and a lot of people don't think about that. You can go to localize.drupal.org and contribute with translations. You can give back by giving themes and modules back to the Drupal project. And then you can mentor in the issue queue. So, today, we're going to talk about some tools of the trade to make it easier. And then I'm going to do a lightning demo from the whole process of finding an issue, writing a patch, putting the patch back up on Drupal.org, and then Daniel's going to do the process of reviewing the patch. So. And a little side note, I'm inviting everyone to do that process through the weekend, and we're working on a module that we maintain, so we're going to give everyone a credit if they go in and review and follow the steps and just make a useful comment. So it's sort of like a little bit of a kickstart onto your profile. Okay, tools of the trade. I'm going to talk about Get clients because a lot of stuff is done in the command line, but the command line is kind of scary. So a Get client will sort of alleviate that pressure. I'm going to talk about Dred, which is an editor for Drupal, and then I'm going to talk about Simply Test Me, which creates a local environment for you. So Get clients. Get is version control, takes a picture of what you're working on, and then it compares it to a picture somewhere down the road. Get client is basically a graphical user interface that makes things easy, where you don't have to remember any of the commands. It's very, clicky, here's this, here's that, and you're done. So a Get client can track remote repositories, which is good in Drupal because everything's up on Drupal.org, so you can pull your code and you can track what changes are done. You can create new branches, you can cherry pick, you can merge. You can pull, sync, and push code right from your user interface, and you can format and apply patches. So Dred. I love Dred. It's Drupal editor, and it's a browser extension for Chrome and Safari, and it's kind of hard to find right now. I think maybe you can find it in the Apple Store. but you might find it in your Google extensions, but it's worth taking the time and adding that onto your browser. So it does a few things. It highlights code, and it highlights code changes, it highlights empty spaces and weird characters. It provides a template when you're in the issue queue, and it provides a simply test me button. And I have examples of all this, so you know, all these words might not make sense right now, but we'll go over it again. So it's hard to see anyway, but without Dreditor, this is what a patch looks like on Drupal.org. There's pluses and minuses and parentheses and all kinds of weird things. But then when you have the Dreditor extension open, all of a sudden, you know, it makes things a little bit more readable. So on this side, Dreditor is highlighting empty spaces at the end of lines, which we all know you can't have. You don't want empty spaces. And on the other side, it's highlighting a special character return, a tab. So it will highlight non-ASCII characters, carriage returns, tabs, things like that. And then when you're in the issue queue, it provides a couple of buttons. There's an insert template and an insert tasks for new people. And then when you are reviewing a patch, it allows a user interface to make comments. So that's nice. And then Simply Test Me is an online service. It will spin up a Drupal site for you in less than 2 minutes, and you don't have to set up a local environment. You can evaluate all kinds of things. You can evaluate themes, distributions, and you can enable all the dependencies, and you can do several things at once. And then Dreditor also inserts a Simply Test Me button in the issue queue when you want to review a patch. So here's the interface for Simple Test Me. It's very easy. You enter the project number, or the project name and the version number, and then you can add additional projects. Like I like Devel because you can create content real quick if you want to do some testing, and then you can apply patches right from a URL. And then this is what it looks like in the issue queue when you have Dreditor installed. There's a button, and you just click that button and it spins up your site. So, the demo. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the issue queue. We're going to find an issue. Well, I have a developer that sent me an issue on a module of ours, so we're going to kind of do that stuff, but do it on a module we maintain. We're going to fix the problem, and then we're going to create a patch, and then we're going to upload the patch, and we're going to do all sorts of metadata in the issue queue to change the status of our issue, and then Daniel's going to go and review it for the community. So, okay, first thing I do in the morning is I open my Drupal.org profile page, and I go to my dashboard. Hi. And from my dashboard, I have blocks. And I don't know if you know this, but you can configure what blocks you want to appear in your dashboard. I like to look at what posts I've done to see if any of the things I've done have been updated. It's real clear. And then I have the issue queue, the Drupal issue queue open. And then I have the contributor links, which I'm not going to go in today, but this is a nice block for new people because there's all sorts of documentation on how to get involved, what the community is looking for right now, and then you've got, you know, different tags. So I'm going to open up the issue queue. And this is core. This is the core issue queue. So, kind of daunting, you know, lots of issues, lots of things to do. It's color-coded. For new people, it's nice. You can do a search for novice. And then you'll see all the novice issues that open up, that sort of thing. So I'm going to pretend that our issue is up there. So we have the new relic module, Drupal 8 project, and our developer wants help to appear on the hook help page. So we're going to implement hook help on the new relic module, and we're just going to pretend we found it in the issue queue. So I would go to my project page. So here's new relic. So, okay, so here it is. I'm going to open up the issue queue in the specific project, and I'm going to do a search to see if someone's already working on it maybe, or someone's done it in the past and maybe it's not been committed. So I'm going to look, okay, I want to see if someone's been working on hook help. But I'll spell hook right. So it doesn't look like anyone's been working on it, but sometimes you'll go in there, like say there's a typo in the user interface, you know, and you'll go in there and someone's already put up a patch, but it just hasn't been committed yet. So you don't have to work on that, but this is new, so, okay. So what I've done too is I've spun up a simply test site so we can see what the module looks like before we make our changes. So we'll enable the module. Okay, and I don't know if all of you know what hook help is, so I'm going to show you. So what hook help is, it's a help button right here when you open up your metadata for the module. And what it does is when you click on it, it takes you to the help page for that specific module. You can also navigate to it from going across the vertical tabs on the top on the help. And here's all the modules that have hook help enabled. New relic isn't on there, so we're going to do some stuff and we're going to make new relic appear on the help page. So that's our project. Okay. I have notes so I don't skip anything. Okay, so we're going to go back to new relic. Here it is. We're going to create an issue. So you open up the issue queue and create new issue. And the title is Implement Hook Help for D8. Okay, so here's some metadata. Category. Is it a bug report? Is it a task? Is it a feature request, a support request, or a plan? So you just kind of use your best judgment what you think it might be. This one, I'm saying it's more of a task. Priority, I'm going to leave it normal. Status, so there's lots of different statuses. The one, like when you're first creating an issue, is typically going to be that the issue needs work. We're going to pick the version of our project, which is 8. The component. This is two different things, and this is another one where you sort of have to use your best judgment, because we are going to do a little bit of code, we are going to do a little bit of documentation, and we're going to do a little bit of user interface. But I'm going to say documentation because we're helping people learn, and does someone else think it should be something different? It's one of the weird ones. And because I know I'm creating this issue right now and I'm going to work on it, I'm going to assign it to myself. Issue tags. Well, okay, there's different things. This is a newbie task, so you can label it novice. We're at Ned Camp, so we're going to label it Ned Camp. That way, you know, maybe one of you wants to come back and find it later. You can find it through the tag in the issue queue. Okay.
Spelling for that title for help for D8.
Yeah, it's help faux D8.
Oh, okay. Thank you. There's like performance anxiety when you're up here, you know. Okay, so here's where Dreditor comes in. It inserts a template for you. It asks you, like, what's your resolution, what's your plan, that kind of thing. I already have the text written up, so I'm just going to copy and paste it. And then let's see, is there anything else we can do? Nope, we're going to save our issue. Now when you save an issue, it creates a node on Drupal.org. and it creates a node number. And the node number is important for us because when we apply a patch or create a branch in our Git client, we're going to base it off of that node number. So patches have names. When you give back a patch, the standard documentation is the name of the module, the branch, a brief concept of what the issue is, the issue number, and the comment number that's where you're going to apply the patch. And because we're working on this right now, and I'm assuming no one else is going to take this on, we're going to assume that the next comment that we're going to make is number 2. So we have our node number and our comment number. And I'm going to copy that node number. Okay. So now I'm going to go back to my module. And this is the only command line I use in this whole presentation. And I'm going to download the project into my repos. So I'm going to transfer branches. I'm going to get my command. Open up my terminal. And I have it set up that I put these in a specific spot, so I'm going to navigate into where I put my modules. And then I'm just going to clone it down. Yeah. So I'm going to navigate to it. Nope, I'm going to still do it. Okay. Now I'm going to clone it in my repo. Okay, so it's in my repository. Where it is, it's in sort of this limbo land because I don't have, it's just a bunch of code and numbers and that sort of thing. So I'm going to open my Git client. And I use SmartGet just because Hook 42 uses it. It is free. You can use SourceTree. You can use all kinds of different ones. I'm going to add my project. And each Git client is a little different, so the commands and where they are on the toolbar might be different. So I'm going to click on repository and add my repository. So it's in my modules folder. It's new relic. Okay, and there it is. But I want the 8 branch. Okay, so we have a version of the project that we got from Drupal.org, and we want to make changes. So we're going to create a patch. We're going to have what the project looks like now and what the project will look like afterward. And we're going to a patch is basically the differences between the two. So we're going to make a new branch. And we're going to base the name of it off of the node number that we had when we created our issue and the comment number. So we're going to check it out. Okay, so it's in our Git client. We're tracking the changes. Any changes we make will show up. We'll come back and we'll see some pretty boxes. So now we're gonna fix it. So I'm going to open the module in a text editor. I like Sublime because it's free. And I don't have a need for a heavy IDE like PHP Storm. If you're doing maybe core issues and that sort of thing, you might want to invest in a better sort of text editor interface that has some Drupal integrations and plugins. But for the sake of like just sort of a simple patch, you're just helping out with the contributed stuff. I think a regular text editor is sufficient. So, okay. And we know, well, I know that the hook help is in the module file. Okay, so here's our module file. This is kind of scary, you know. You don't have to code to give back to Drupal.org. You can find a typo. You can find documentation that just needs to be shifted a little bit, that sort of thing. You know, in here there's a typo. You can change a typo in a text block, and that's good too. You know, you don't have to code to give back. Just want to stress that enough. It can be anything. And I think when you're evaluating new projects and distributions and that sort of thing, and you find typos and you find grammar mistakes, I think those are just as important as fixing code, because when people new to Drupal or when clients are evaluating the project, that's what they see. They're going to see the errors in the user interface, and they're going to see the typos, and they're going to wonder about the validity of the project if it's just, you know what I mean? And so I think sometimes some developers don't give the documentation and the typos enough credit, but like I said, that's what we look at first. So you don't have to code to fix those. Okay, so this is object-oriented code, so I'm going to copy that. You don't have to know these words. And then this hook help actually is taken right off the hook help API on Drupal.org. This is the text, and I copied and pasted the module's name and copied the module's information. So you can find these sort of things up on Drupal.org as well. Okay, then I'm just going to go to the bottom of my module page and add that piece of code. We only want one line on the end of our file. And then I'm going to hit save. So I'm basically done. I fixed it. So now I go back to my Get Client, and look, something appeared in our interface. It looks like the module file has been modified. So that's exactly what we want. So we can look and we can see what modifications were done. Yes, I added the use case. And at the end, did I save? Yes. You know, live demos are so fun. There it is. Okay. So there's the code that I added. So that's pretty nice. The user interface for the Get client just highlights everything. So, okay. So we click on it. We want to commit our changes. Now this commit message is never going to be seen anywhere, but for muscle memory and best practices, always write a nice commit message. So I'm going to say I added hook help to the D8 branch. And I'm going to commit those changes. Okay, so now we want to put those changes up on Drupal.org, and we're going to create a patch. And like I said, every Get client is a little bit different, but with this one, I just go into my log, and the first commit there is the changes I made. And then because it's a Get client, it's super easy. You just click on it, and it asks, do you want to format a patch? I sure do. And it's going to save it for me. I'm going to save it to the desktop just to make it easy to find. Okay, so we've created our patch. Now we can go back to Drupal.org to our issue. Did I close the issue? Yeah, okay. So it's easy to find. It'll be on the top of the page. Here it is. Okay, so remember, I want this node number, right? Okay, so I'm going to go back to where my patch is. It's on my desktop, and I'm going to rename it because SmartGet gave it kind of a weird, funky name. So I'm going to say it's the new relic RPM D8 branch, and I did hook help, and then I'm going to give it the node number, and then because we're on comment 2, we're going to give it a tag of number 2. Now, if you were commenting on comment 4, that would be node number comment 4. It's comment 8, node number comment 8. But you would keep all the same, you know, module name and what you did in the branch. So, okay. So we've renamed our patch, and we're going to go down and we're going to say something about it. Okay. I uploaded a patch for the D8 branch that implements hook help. And there's a couple of things we need to do. We don't need to change the category, it's still the same priority, but we've done some work. So we're going to change it from needs work to needs review. And what that does in the issue queue is it highlights it a different color, and it indicates that, hey, someone put up the patch, but we need someone to review it before we can commit it. And then I'm going to unassign myself, because best practices is you don't review your own stuff. So anyway, so there's that, and I just kind of make sure I'm Volkswagen chic. I work for Hook 42, so I use them for my organization. There's this. I don't use it, honestly. Just, oh, that's the collapsed version of the summary. And then the parent and related issues, I don't use those either. That's more complex when you're dealing with patches that have to do with patches that are on some other problems and that sort of thing. And the last thing I really need to do is I need to add my file. So it's on my desktop. And I upload it. And then I'm just going to look one more time to make sure I did everything right. So I tagged it needs review, I unassigned it, and I'm going to save. And now, when you go to the issue queue, it's highlighted that yellow now that it needs review. And Daniel is going to review the patch for us. So take it away, Dan. Oh, that's right. You can do DOP space on mine, and it'll open up the project. So he navigated to the project page, went into the issue queue, and it's on top, so he's just clicking in. Oh, Dred editor's not enabled and incognito. Okay, so this is fun to know. If you don't have Dred editor installed, this is what your issue queue looks like. There's no Dred editor button. There's no simple test me spin up site. So we'll go back to.
You want to just review it as yourself? And
No, he'll just do it on his. He has like two-factor authorization or whatever that is. So.
I think we can activate those extensions in Cognito as well.
Oh, can you?
When we go to their properties, they have a checkbox that we want them to be active in Cognito mode as well.
Oh, I signed him out anyway just now by closing the window. So, the joys of live demos. You want this? I don't think so. For the folks at home, Daniel's on his own computer, but I'll go through the process of reviewing the patch while he does it on his computer. But what about them seeing it?